Matt Joseph easily took the 2020 college football crown at Sports Memo, picking up plus 71% in profit for his clients, winning 62% of his college selections with a final record of 98, 59, and 3. For unlimited time, you can get the first 4 college football weekends starting on Saturday, August 28, 2021, and running through Saturday, September 25th, 2021, for only $149 versus a regular price of $330. As an added bonus, we'll include any NFL side, total, or prop plays Matt releases during this time at no additional charge.
Welcome into First Pitch for Wednesday, July 28th. I am your host, Drew Martin, joined by Matt Joseph of SportsMemo.com and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com to break down 4 games on tonight's slate. We got best bets at the end. First up here, follow him on Twitter at MidMajorMatt. Matt Josephs from Sports Memo. Matt, welcome in.
Good to be here, Drew. Just coming back from Washington football training camp today, which is in Richmond. By the way, real quick, I'm tired of ignorant managers. Yesterday, I was on the first 5 under in the Texas-Arizona game, and for some reason, with the base open, they didn't intentionally walk Joey Gallo, and he, of course, hits a home run, which I know he's a 3-outcome guy, but the guy after him was really bad, and I would have liked to have seen them walk him. But I lose my first 5 under because Torey Lovello's an idiot.
It happens, Matt. Look to bounce back today, hopefully. And we also got Tony Finn on the show here, guys, from WagerTalk.com. Tony Slick Finn, according to the chat box. Welcome in, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Always enjoy being here.
We always enjoy having you, Tony. Interested in your perspective. And real quick, Matt, before we get into the games, you said the Washington football team at the camp. Did you notice anything kind of firsthand there? I asked because Fitzpatrick at the quarterback position, that defensive line, that defense, I kind of like that combo in the East Division there. Did you see anything maybe the viewers should know?
I mean, it was just the first day, customary things, some drills here and there. I mean, Fitzpatrick is a guy that you know that Fitzmagic's going to show up and Fitztragic shows up. It's just how many times for each. I think Washington can certainly win this division. The offense did look good early, and Curtis Samuel is on the early not available list because of his injury, so he's another piece that joins that offense.
Yeah, talk about Fitzmagic there. Just a guy that continues to outperform expectations, it seems, year after year. I like betting on that type of guy, but we'll see when the NFL rolls around. Guys, starting off here for First Pitch in the AL East, a good one. We get the New York Yankees down in the state of Florida here, Matt, against the Tampa Bay Rays. We're getting Cortez going for the Yanks versus Michael Wacha. Looks like minus $1.25, as low as the Rays, minus 120 in the Trop, 8.5 being the total. Prime time here, 7:10 Eastern start. You liking anything in the AL East tonight, Matt?
Well, I mean, you look at the Yankees, they're starting to get at least a little bit healthier. Judge was in the lineup yesterday. As far as I know, he'll probably be in the lineup once again. Of course, now we're kind of in that trade deadline time to make sure that everybody's in the lineup for both teams. I don't expect that anybody from the regular groups of either squad will get traded. So it looks like you're going to have full lineups. Cortez, I mean, he's made 2 starts. He's gone 8 innings. So who knows what you're going to get from him. Wacha on the other side, though, I like this K-prop. 4.5 was the total. I like the over here. If you look at what Wacha's done as of late, he's gone over that total a bunch of times, and the Yankees are a team that's a free-swinging bunch. The only worry is that how long will he go? He's going about 5 or 6 innings a game. Also, when you look at Wacha, first time through the order, 311 batting average for the opponent. So he might get hit around a little bit by the Yankees, but he's already seen him a couple of times this season as a reliever and as a starter. So I like Wacha here. I think the Rays are the better team at home. And, of course, the bullpen lines up better for them as late in the game.
Sure. I agree with a lot of what you said here, Matt. And Tony, coming to you, the Rays at home in the Trop, profitable on the season, the Yankees kind of negative there. And like Matt talked about, the bullpen advantage I would give towards the Rays. They have nearly a 30% strikeout rate the last 30 days from their bullpen, number 1 in baseball here. That's what's got me looking towards the Rays here, Tony. What do you think of tonight in the Trop?
This is my best bet for the show. Briefly, I'm as well, like Matt, I like Tampa Bay here for several reasons. And it's not my play, but I still like Tampa Bay. The play is the under, actually, in the game, and I'll explain why during the Best Bet show. Umpire's right, the pitcher's right, situation's right, and, of course, the venue is also much more pitch-friendly than Yankee Stadium. So under in this game, and again, I'll go in detail on the Best Bet.
All right, guys, that's coming up at the end of the show. We got 3 games before then. Tony, coming back to you here for NL Central, heading to Wrigleyville. We get Mahali going for the Reds here. A lot of people interested in his K-prop, Ariel Epstein. I know Matt's friend there. She was talking about it today. We get Zach Davies going for the Cubs here. Near a pick'em price, Tony. Seeing Cincinnati, let's call it -110. Chicago Cubs, even money. Total of 10. In Wrigley Field, 8:05 start here. Tony, what do you like in Reds and Cubs?
I'm liking the Reds here for several reasons. If I haven't said it on the show, I'd be surprised. And that is Davies is a play against for me. This is a guy that, if you're a fantasy owner, and unless you're in a really deep league, I mean, he shouldn't be anywhere near your lineup. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're a gamer, a weekend warrior, even that's casual better, he's a guy that's a strong fade, in my opinion, for lots of reasons. He doesn't miss enough bats. He's the epitome of a guy who will surprise one game or even for a small stretch during a season. Some believed after the 60-game sprint that we had, or the 60-game sprint in 2020, and some of the numbers he put up, go back to even 2019, he was worthwhile as a capable innings eater. It's just not the case. And in this situation, I really like Cincinnati. First off, Cincinnati is a team that we know is going to come to play. Tonight, who knows? We may, if you're on the Cubs, you like the Cubs for whatever reason it might be, and all of a sudden an hour before game time, you look at the lineup and you're seeing guys missing that you counted on. It's because the Cubs are in trade talks probably on the phone right now as we do this show. The Reds are buyers, the Cubs are sellers. And in that situation for this week and even next week, guys, where lineups are a question mark a lot of the times, you have to be very careful. In this situation, I'm on the Reds, and I don't have to be careful. I like them tonight. I like Molly. He may have been so-so last Friday, allowing 5 hits, 4 walks. Really the only damage was a solo shot to Goldie. So Molly against a Cubs team that's kicking the ball around. I like the Reds tonight as what short favorites.
Matt, interested in your opinion here, not only on the game, but also with the strikeout prop, something that you've kind of honed in here very well. So what are you thinking tonight in Wrigleyville?
Well, I mean, look, I can't bet the Reds 9 innings. I just can't. Their bullpen's so bad. So if I'm going to play the Reds, which I would probably lean to it here because, as we've talked about, Molly is better than Davies, I'm going first 5. If you look at Molly, 2.26 ERA in 11 starts on the road. So clearly he enjoys being away from home. And this is the 4th time he's seen the Cubs. Now, he's had a mixed bag so far, 15 innings, 15 hits allowed, 20 strikeouts in those 3 starts. So, yeah, people, I could see that. Now, for those who are familiar with me, I don't necessarily play the top end of the market as much because I feel like there's not as much value. So this is not necessarily a play I would endorse. As you said, and as Tony said, we may see some Cubs leaving. Chris Bryant has really good numbers against him, 7 of 18 for 3 homers, but Chris Bryant could be traded at any moment. And then you look at Davies, another guy I don't like. Joey Votto's got really good numbers against him, and Joey Votto's really hot. So if you're doing DFS tonight, you have to play Joey Votto. So to me, it's a Reds first 5 thing. I can't get involved with this bullpen. I just can't. But they do have the better offense and the better starting pitcher, and that's why I would go first 5.
All right, looking towards the Reds in Wrigleyville. 2 games left, guys. Heading to the AL West for the next one. Interleague matchup, actually. We get the Arizona Diamondbacks here, Matt, with Bumgarner on the hill versus the Texas Rangers and Jordan Lyles. Near a pick'em price again. I'm seeing mostly Texas, maybe short favorites. Actually near a pick'em price here, Matt. Total of 9. Heading to Texas for this one. What are you thinking?
I mean, I never back Jordan Lyles for anything. He's awful. His strikeout prop, usually I like to take the under, especially if he faces off against Houston or some of these other teams that don't strike out a ton. I'm done with the Diamondbacks. The few times I've been involved in Diamondbacks games, they've done something stupid. Go all the way back to that game where against the Brewers where they could have thrown the guy out at home as he was limping home, and they didn't do it. And last night with Torey Lovello not intentionally walking Joey Gallo, the Rangers' offense is terrible. It's certifiably the worst offense in the league. And if I actually trusted Arizona, I'd look at like the Texas team total under, but I can't. Madison Bumgarner hasn't been great. He's coming off an effort where he had 1 strikeout. Texas isn't striking out as much as they used to. So with these 2 bad teams, Drew, I can't do anything with this. Lyles is a terrible pitcher, and I don't trust anything involving Arizona. So this was an easy pass for me.
Tony, Matt brings up a lot of good points. I mean, when you start betting bad baseball teams at this point in the season, kind of crazy things can happen. So I don't usually go large here. But the Diamondbacks side, especially in the first five, because I don't like their bullpen at all, I just think Bumgarner, like Matt just talked about, is a lot better pitcher than Jordan Lyles. Talking about in current form here, and at a pick'em price, I bet, for a small amount here, the Diamondbacks in the first five. I mean, we're talking about the Texas Rangers here, 1-9 their last 10 games. Both teams terrible run differential. I think the bet here is on the better starting pitcher. That's why I went with the Diamondbacks first five. What do you think of tonight in Texas?
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I agree with what you said. First off, Lyles is always, if I'm in a game, I've pushed across the counter on Lyles, and in this case, Texas. In the years past, it hasn't been Texas, but it would be because I'm fading Lyles. Unreliable, roller coaster type of a pitcher. Good one day, bad the next four. So, if you can find that trend, or there's those tendencies when Lyles is going to be decent and acceptable and capable, serviceable, you're a much better capper than most. And in this case, you would want to be on Bumgarner. I listen. He was just okay. The 2 starts back have been just okay. He's not himself. He's not who he was when all of us were kind of excited about Bumgarner. After last season, he had his velocity back. He had, he was commanding his pitches. And when I say velocity back, he was in the 92, which is, I think, averaging 91.4, which was what he needs to do. Right now, 5.0 ERA. He's the last 2 starts have been 89 to 90 range with his fastball down a bit from that average that was up, and what he needs to be successful. I still think he's not quite right, and he may never be right again. And we may have witnessed a couple, a short period of time with the Diamondbacks early this season where, boy, he looked good. He looked like, I'm not saying he was his Cy Young form, but he looked good. In this case, I agree with you. I agree with Matt. If you're going to be on this game, you're going to be on Bumgarner, and Arizona, as untrustworthy as not only Bumgarner is, as the Arizona lineup is, they're still, head and shoulders above who Texas is right now. Agreed. Bumgarner and Arizona, if you must play this game.
If you must play it. 2 bad teams here, almost like a little bit of a degenerate special feel, Tony, so maybe look towards Bumgarner if you need some action in the Diamondbacks Rangers game. Guys, we got 1 game left. Shout out to the chat box. We got Dan in the house saying smash that like button. Thank you, Dan, for saying that. And of course, guys, if you're liking the content, please smash that thumbs up button on YouTube. We got Johnny Outlaw in the house. Jessica, late to the party. Still happy to have you, Jessica. Also apologize for being late here, guys, but hopefully bringing you more winners than losers on today's show. Heading to the nightcap out on the West Coast now. We got 9:45 Eastern, 6:45 Pacific start time here. LA Dodgers, San Francisco Giants here, Tony. Walker Buehler, Anthony DeSclafani. Looks like minus 135, kind of dropped to minus 130, minus 125. You can even find here on the Dodgers. A good one late night. What do you like in Giants and Dodgers tonight, Tony?
Look at this game, and I think back, and I think you guys would probably agree. Maybe I might not be quite accurate on the price, but if you look at this game and I stopped to think, what would the price be on this game if it was last year? And the Dodgers were, and not at home, in San Francisco. Buehler's on the mound, and DeSclafani's pitching for the Giants. It's certainly not minus 130. And a lot of this price has to do with the fact is that the Giants are playing better. The Dodgers are playing smarter. They're playing with more. They're playing with a better posture. And when they take the field, they look like a team that you can support because it looks like they act like they're going to win. They look like winners. Again, the Dodgers, if it's not the bullpen, if it's not Dave Roberts making it, keeping a reliever in or bringing one in a situation they shouldn't be there, making bad game decisions, then they've put an outfielder who's a good defensive outfielder at first base because he's got a hamstring issue, and he makes a bad throw, trying to cut a runner off at third base late in the game. It gives San Francisco the lead. They win 2-1. Again, they come from behind late, and they beat the Dodgers, who is supposedly the best team in baseball, at least on paper they are, and when they're healthy, and they're not healthy right now. I went flashback to earlier in the year when I thought, when the Dodgers started out hot, and I said, there's a chance this team, if they play like this, they're not going to be an underdog all year. Unfortunately, injuries happen. It's hard to keep a roster healthy completely. And then I didn't, I had a brain fart because I remember now Dave Roberts is his manager. Listen, I like the Giants here. I like the under more than I like San Francisco. But if I'm going to be on a side in this game, I'm going to be on the home team. I'm going to be, even against who I think we'll all agree is one of the better pitchers in baseball. He essentially is a workhorse. Buehler, 10-1, 2.31, a .90 WHIP, 131 strikeouts, right? And Anthony D is no chopped liver, but he's not Walker Buehler. I like San Francisco. I like him as a small dog here. If I'm in this game, that's who I'm on.
Yeah, good point there, Tony. Talk about last night's game, just an error being the difference there. It was a nice idea, him throwing to third. He faked, the runner out. It's just he didn't perform in terms of putting the ball where it needed to go. And talking about Walker Buehler here, Matt, I couldn't agree with Tony anymore. I like the Giants tonight. I bet him last night too. The only thing is here, Walker Buehler is a workhorse. I could see him going 7-8 strong here. And then, you're taking a small plus price on the Giants with that good bullpen. You're not dead, but still going up against that type of pitcher is something that's tough. Also, the Dodgers, still the number one hitting lineup against righties. Nothing I've touched of late. I agree with Tony, though. If you made me play it right now, I would be on the under. What are you feeling tonight, West Coast style?
Well, I mean, Disco has had terrible numbers against the Dodgers so far this season, and there's nothing really to hide between these two teams. This is the fifth time each pitcher has seen the opponent. So to me, it gets harder and harder to cap these games when you have these pitchers who know these lineups. And Buehler has had success time and time again, even though there is that familiarity, and Disco has struggled time and time again. Now, granted, look, he's getting the lineup he's getting tonight. It's not the lineup he's seen before in terms of health and situations like that. Disco's got good numbers against everybody else, but the Dodgers have been his toughest opponent. And then you look at Buehler, 24 strikeouts in 27 innings. We know the Giants traditionally have had problems with right-handed pitchers. If you look at their numbers as a team, 19 of 104 with 34 strikeouts all time against Buehler. So the Giants have had more of an issue. To me, once again, if you're going to look at this game, maybe you want to look at it a first five here, take the Dodgers bullpen out of it, hope that you get a good enough lineup from the LA Dodgers, and then maybe take them in the first five. That way you kind of isolate Buehler versus Disco, which I think is clearly an advantage to the Dodgers.
Tony, talking about the NL West, just hearing you talk about it, obviously, I'm guessing one of your favorite divisions, living there in Southern California, San Diego, Tijuana area for a portion of your life there. We got LH the Great asking in the chat box here, Tony, maybe the Giants plus 200-ish price to win the NL West. You liking any future here in this division?
I've just got done. Well, I didn't just get done. I've been editing them for a couple of days because every time I edit it, there's a change, and I'm going to take it out because of the trades. But I wrote that I like the Giants in this. In fact, if all things being equal, if I looked at every division, and I did, I looked at every division, I looked at every standings, and I think what we see is what we get at the end of September. Save Tampa Bay, Boston, I think they're going to go down to the wire. And I think, listen, I firmly believe, as bad as the bullpen is, I think Philly will give the Mets, a run for their money down the stretch too. And I like San Francisco as long as Dave Roberts is making game decisions, guys, and they're putting injured players they probably listen. And one of the most overrated MVPs in the history of the game. He hurts his hamstring. They don't put him in the outfield. He's surely not in the game for his bat. His bat's been miserable this year. So again, do I like San Fran at plus 200? Yes, I like San Fran right now. I think San Francisco wins this division. They have a little more difficult schedule than LA. LA doesn't have neither one have the most difficult schedule, but I think I'm soured on San Diego. They just don't seem to have that posture, or that they don't give me that feeling. I mean, they're getting ready to move. They're trying to move Hosmer, and when the San Diego team was strong last couple of years, and I'm not saying they're not a good team, they're a good team. But when Hosmer's hitting seventh, and you're trying to move a guy like that who has World Series experience, it leaves me with questions. I'll take San Francisco in this plus 200 if I'm in a future right now. That's who I'm on.
Yeah, that's what LH the Greek has here, that number in the division. Matt, anything here on any futures in MLB? And also Tony's comments there on the Phillies maybe reeling in the Mets.
I don't know. It depends on which Phillies team shows up. It's just you get excited one night, and then the next night Matt Moore pitches, and you want to pull your hair out, and you see why my hair is slowly turning white. It all depends on their trades. They were supposed to have Tyler Anderson, and then all of a sudden a minor league baseball issue with one of the prospects, and now he's a Seattle Mariner. So the Phillies are trying to buy, and I think they can catch the Mets if they make the right deals. Let's say they get Kimbrel and Chris Bryant. That would be huge. Yeah. With regards to the West here, I think there's some value potentially with San Diego. They're kind of lurking. 5.5. I know it's a lot, but you hear San Diego trying to make that big deal. They're another team. If they get Kimbrel and Chris Bryant, I don't think they will, but if they get some guys, San Diego is kind of lurking there, and I think there's some value if you could find to make the playoffs and get that at plus money, and then if you can also find them to maybe win the division. I'm just saying don't count out San Diego, who has some really good starting pitching themselves and is kind of just lurking there waiting to make that big trade.
Good
hey, Matt and Drew.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Right after the All-Star break, we were looking at futures. I was doing another show and talking to a couple guys, and we were talking about futures. We were talking about those Phillies, and I said at that point in time, this is a team that's capable, especially if Harper is going to protect for. Look at who the cleanup hitter is. I remember talking to Matt earlier in the year and saying, "Well, are you kidding me? Look, because Phillies are kind of his team or the one he follows, and I understand perfectly." But they were like 700. They were in sevens, I think, or 7,000 for World Series. To win the World Series, and they were, I think, 5 or 6 to 1 in that division at that time. And I said they are definitely worth popcorn money at those prices because they're going to be, in my opinion, they would be the team that would catch the Mets. Now, if you look at them, you'll see that there's been some money jump on Philly, and I agree with Matt. It's going to be fun to watch because I'm kind of a Philly fan. I can go back to Kruk and Dykstra and those guys, which was a time when I really I was a Mets fan, always was, but kind of like the Phillies too.
Yeah, Kruk. That was always fun to watch back in the day.
Yeah,
but guys, getting up against it time-wise, we got to head to best bets. I'm going back to the first game we talked about, leading it off here, best bets section. New York Yankees at the Tampa Bay Rays. I like the Rays, minus 120. It's a low watermark number here. 30-19 at home. Michael Walker on the hill. No great shakes, but he is better at home. Kind of almost like a wash starting pitcher-wise here, Cortez and Walker. That's how I would handicap it here. Plus the fact the Rays, 40-29 versus teams that are 500 or better. That is the Yankees. By the way, that's the number one record in MLB. Keep that in your back pocket when it gets towards playoff time. And look, guys, I just think it's going to be a heavy bullpen game for both teams here. And we get the Rays, the number 2 bullpen by my numbers, 30% K rate the last 30 days, plus the fact their K to walk rate here is 22%. That's number 1 in MLB. And in comparison to the Yankees, they're only 16%. So late inning advantage here towards the Rays. And some people might point towards, hey, the Rays don't hit lefties as well. Number 20 in MLB so far this season. But with Nelson Cruz in the lineup, I think that changes things. And as sports bettors always looking for change and going from that point forward, the Rays are a bet-on team. I think it's buy low here, minus 120 home favorites. Throw it over to mid-major Matt here, Matt Josephs, sportsmemo.com. Matt, where are you going for best bets tonight?
So I went to the K-props as usual, doing really well in the K-props so far. And I'm looking at a number here that I think is very manageable. I'm not a big Jake Odorizzi guy. In the past, I've faded him. Never been that big of a fan, but this number seems too good. His over's 4.5. Now, the key here is to make sure to have a lot of options because some of the places the juice is ridiculous. Some of the places the juice is not ridiculous. Some of the places the numbers are different when it comes to the K-prop. But I found over 4.5. It's around a minus 135, or it was on BetMGM when we started the show. Reason why, Mariners have the second highest K rate against right-handed pitchers, the highest K rate since the All-Star break, and the highest K rate of anybody at home. Back on April 18th in Seattle, Odorizzi had 7 strikeouts against them. He's gone over this number 4 times, 3 of those on the road, which is always crucial for something like this. And 8 of the last 11 starting pitchers to have faced Seattle have gone over this number. So shop around a little bit. Odorizzi over 4.5 strikeouts is the play I'm going with as my best bet.
All right, and Tony Slick Finn, according to some in the chat box here. Tony, finishes off for best bets, buddy.
As I spoke to, this is New York Yankees, Tampa Bay, an early game or an early evening game on the East Coast. And Cortez versus Walker isn't going to entice the networks to change the time of the game or remove the live production of Big Brother and air the show, for this AL East showdown. But it's interesting and it's intriguing to me for lots of reasons. In truth, Michael Wacha, if you're a fantasy guy, hasn't been relevant for 3 years since he was at the top of his game with St. Louis. And Cortez is, for the most part, relative unknown. He's pitched, and there's some metrics for him, even if you went back to some of his time on the farm. But long story short, he's been effective to a degree. He's worked out of the bullpen. He's had a start. Wacha three times this year against the Yankees. The first time wasn't really good. It was early in the season. But the last 2 times have been pretty good. They've been pretty good. And if you look at Walker's career numbers against the Yankees batters, Aaron Judge 0 for 8, Stanton 2 for 10, Torres 0 for 3. There's DJ has been the most at least had the most success against Walker, 6 for 16. This isn't a Yankees team that's going to kill the ball anymore. I don't believe in them. I hope you guys don't either. They haven't done it. I mean, last night when they score 3 or 4 runs and win, that means that they've done something right and they've pitched well. I like Tampa Bay here. I like a lot what you said, Drew, about their pickup and who they've added to the middle of this lineup, and I think it will be a bullpen game. But if it comes down to bullpen, as good as the Yankees bullpen has been, should be, could be, I absolutely trust Tampa Bay and that coaching staff to manage their bullpen better than Boone and the Yankees. I'll take Tampa Bay in the short price here. I had them last night and I had the under both. I failed with Tampa Bay, succeeded with the under. I like the under here tonight. I still like Tampa Bay, but the play is under. Will Little is the umpire tonight in Tampa Bay. He's scheduled to be behind the dish, and he top 5 of the 149 active umpires in Major League Baseball. Will Little's a top 5 guy. Huge zone, likes a quick game. These 2 pitchers, albeit all known, Walker knows Little and knows to work fast, and that's what I expect tonight. A low scoring, quick game where the most of the time spent is changing pitchers. That's who I like. I like Tampa Bay, but mostly under the 8.5.
Under the 8.5 in the trop for Tony Finn. Guys, in recap for the best bets as we end it here, I'm on the Rays -120. Jake Odorizzi over 4.5 Ks for Matt Josephs, and Tony Finn Rays under 8.5. Rays, he also likes the Rays their side. But I guess, wait, hold on. For record-keeping purposes here, Tony, which is the play?
Under.
Okay.
Under 8.5. Under 8.5. Will Little, really like Will Little too as an umpire. If you like pitchers and Will Little's behind the dish, definitely consider playing under the total if the number's right.
Okay. So Tony's is on the under there. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button if you like the content. Feel free to drop a line below, maybe who you think is winning the NL West or AL East here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Best of luck with your bets until then. Thanks for tuning in.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.